What's up, soul family? Welcome back. I'm the Alchemist, and I leave my body. And today I want to introduce you guys to somebody else who also leaves her body, Lova Zania. And before we get into her experience, give you some background about Lova. Her out of body experiences actually started around the same time as mine, which I'm finding out was a similar theme across a lot of us. Her out of bodies happened spontaneously. And then she ended up finding Darius, and she was able to gain more control over her experiences and the out of body state. And then fast forward some time, she found me, and we began working on our soul records. In doing so, in accessing our soul records, it actually led us both to a place called Neo Soul. So she's about to detail her Neo Soul experiences. So I'll let Lova get into her experiences, and then in the end, I'll come back and kind of explain to you guys what was going on in hopes that maybe it can help you navigate your own out of body experiences. So enjoy her experiences. I personally think these are some amazing experiences, and I'm happy to share them with you guys.
Hey, you guys. My name is Lova, and as you already know, I am an out of body traveler, and Andre is my partner. So, I want to talk about three different experiences that I had the past week, three out of body experiences. And the first one I had last week, um, a week ago. So I will start with that. And the experiences is about me seeing a past life of myself behind the ice wall in Neo Soul. So I I came out of my physical body and everything was blurry, which it almost always is for me first when I get out. Um, but Darius has, taught me to look at my hands and command my awareness to be there, my full awareness, command clarity. And so I will always do that as soon as I get out. So I'm, there 100%. Um, so I commanded it, looked at my hands, and then everything lights up. There's like when this happens, the shift, everything just lights up. And I could tell that like it looked somewhat like my house, but it wasn't. It looked kind of futuristic. It had some reddish colors, which I also have in my living room, but it looked futuristic. I remember thinking, this is not really my vibe. And then I went into the living room and there was all these cats. There was like 10 cats or something, 10 black cats. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of cats here. And I sat down and I petted some of them. And after I did that, I wanted to go and see if I could, call for Andre because had, you know, we had said we wanted to meet out of our buddies and we were practicing, next to each other in the bed. So I wanted to try and go call for him so we could have an experience together. So I went into the bedroom and the bed was standing like different. So it was already looking different than it does in my house. And I went in there and I went to his side and I looked down. Somebody was laying in the bed, but it was not Andre. And that kind of shook me a little bit, I guess. I was like, wait, what? It's not Andre? And then I didn't want to deal with that. So I left the bedroom, went into the living room again, and then I tried to just call for him. And I think I called him maybe 10 times or something, but nothing happened. And so I just decided after that, okay, let me just go and explore a little bit. So I went into my kitchen and I looked out the kitchen window, which somewhat it kind of looked like the same. But when I looked out, I could see there was it was a completely different place. I was like, I wonder what this is. And I was intrigued. So I wanted to go check it out. And, as you all know, you can fly and you can go through things when you're out of body, but sometimes you will be in a physical body where you can't really do that. So I tried to fly through the window and I couldn't get through. And I was like, huh, I wonder why that is. So I had to take the door. So I went through the door and I walked on the side of the house where I had just been looking out, and it was still there, what I had seen. And it was kind of a hallway, a big open space, but like it was indoor, but it's hard to explain. Like it was like a big hall of some kind. And I was like, where am I? And then I see and hear these people walking. There was this kind of hallway on the side of it. And I was just, okay, let me just ask these people. They might know where I am. So I called for them and just, hey guys, can you tell me where I am? And I walked up to them, and it was like a group of younger people. So this guy comes, and he looked like a teacher. Um, And he took me down again where I had just been standing in the hall, and then he pointed with like a stick, the sticks they usually used in school, the teachers. And then he points up at the wall where there is a map, and it had like a silvery, wide looking to it. It was actually very beautiful made. And he started to tell me about how they had, in fact, once upon a time, their civilization had been where we are now in Realm 1, at this place, at the inside of the ice wall. And they have immigrated out of this place through the ice wall, and I could see the openings in the ice wall where you could actually enter out. And then he pointed at, I could see there was other lands out there, and he pointed to the left of the map and said, "And we're here. This is where we are." And he did tell me the name of the place, but I didn't remember it, sadly, when I woke up, because it was like a name I've never heard before. And it was a little bit longer name, as I remember. I just didn't remember it. But it was kind of cool because he was like standing there and teaching me about, their history and such. So yeah, that occurred to me when I was standing there. Oh my God, like it's real, like it's actually true. There are these other land masses on the other side of the ice wall. So when he had done that, there was these younger girls who came and sat with me on a bench. I had two girls to my left, two girls to my right, and I was talking with them, and then at one point, the second girl to my right, she sticks her head up out and is like, "Oh, hey, Mona, it's you." And I was like, "My name isn't Mona. My name is Lova." And I looked at her, and I could tell that I knew her. I could tell that I knew her, and I just immediately had a memory from her and we had done some things together. We had had some tasks together that we needed to do at another lady's house. I saw it all in my mind as I looked at her, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I know you. I do know you." The name Mona at that time didn't ring any bell or anything to me. But I will come into that later in the next experience. So after I sat with them for a little while, some music came on, and the young people that was there, they started to just, dance a little bit. Everybody was just having a grand old time. And I was like, oh man, these people here, they're really living their best lives. It was such a nice feeling to it. Like they seemed so free. Um, yeah. And that was when I woke up from that experience. So the next experience I had last night, this morning actually. I had two experiences that connects to the first one. So I did what I always do, to come out of my body, and I had separated, and I um I want to get into how I have learned now to do it the best way because Andre has actually taught me how to do that. And it's something you guys can do if you are ever, struggling to, get away from your physical body, even though you have detached from it, because that has been something that I've been struggling a bit with. Um, Andrea actually told me to just inside my mind when I'm laying there and I can feel I'm separated, but might feel like I'm not really coming out. Just say in your mind, relax, relax more, and just keep saying it. Because I found out when I do that, me, my soul will just, stand up when it's time to go. I don't even have to like force myself out or anything like that. So yeah, I did that. I said relax, relax more. I felt the vibrations even stronger, and I feel this sensation of just it's a very warm and like very pleasant sensation for me at least. And then I enter out of my body, and this time I see a body laying beside me. I can see it's a girl. I can see the back of her skin covered with the blanket, and I thought to myself, huh, I wonder who that is. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, wait, that's me. That's me. I guess it's just because when you have an out of body experience, you're still you. So, naturally you would think, who's that? Because I'm here. But, that was just Lova, her physical body, me. Yeah, so I actually just I wanted to touch myself a little bit on the back, and I remember thinking, "Oh, I'm so soft." Like just that was just a little funny. But yeah, so after that, I went into my living room, and I could see Andre laying on the couch. Um, it was somewhat dark, and I remember, okay, let me just, command more of my energy here, more of my awareness. Uh, and I did that. And at some point, I heard Andre. I heard him kind of in his sleep, and I thought, oh, wait, am I waking him up or something? I don't know why I would think that, but um, then I just, walked to the kitchen instead, commanded my awareness, and then I just, decided to go. So I opened the door, and when I opened the door, it looked kind of futuristic, and it wasn't here. It was another place completely. So I walk out, and I see these small blue beings on the ground. I think there was maybe like five of them or something. I bent down and I picked one of them up and I looked at it and I was like, huh, this is really cute. And I sat it down again. And then I remember there was two dogs also, and I just petted them and then I decided to leave. I walked out of that place and I saw another building and I just thought, let me go check this out. So I walked into the building, and inside there was like a lot of different rooms, and there was a lot of people there, and everybody was playing instruments. It was a lot of different musicians, and I'm a musician myself in this life, so that kind of made sense, that that was something, you know occurring for me, but I was just walking around, but I was bugged out because there was some people there who was trying to get my attention, and they were um like trying to tell me stuff, and like they were just getting on my nerves, and I didn't at the time know why that was getting on my nerves, because they were sweet people, and there was musician all over, and like it was a good environment, but I was bugged out. Like I did like I just didn't want to be bothered. um and I remember at some point I stood in kind of a doorway, and I heard a song that I somehow just remembered. I knew the song, and I started to sing along to the song. And I mean, if you guys are having out of buddies, I would recommend you to try and sing, because that is really amazing. Like the feeling you have when you do it, and just the whole everything about it is it's really amazing. I was standing there singing along to this song, enjoying myself singing, and then I was like, okay, let me get away from this place, because these people were still, trying to get to me. So I shifted my awareness, not with any particular place to go, but I just wanted to get away from there. And all of a sudden, I was in a different place. It still looked very futuristic, and I could tell that I was in like a bigger city. And I could see that it was kind of like the look of it. It looked kind of the 1800s style. There was a train to my right that looked kind of, how the old trains were looking. But it was gold. It was very beautiful. And in front of me, there was a bench with this black woman. Um, she was just sitting there. Uh, but she was so fancy. Her outfit was purple, and she had like these old tall hats, and that was purple also. And I just thought, oh, what a fancy lady. Let me go talk to her. Um, so I sat down, and I looked at her and I said, hey, can you tell me where I am and what this place is? And she looked at me and she said, yeah, this is Neo Soul. And I just remember feeling like, damn, really? Wow, that's amazing. I'm in Neo Soul. Um, I stood up because I wanted to kind of walk around, and I think I might have gotten a little bit too excited. Because 2 seconds later, I was back in my body. Yeah, so that was the first experience in the experiences I had last night. So the third experience was one right after I had this one I just told you guys about. So what happened was I came out again, and I commanded my awareness by looking at my hands the way Darius has told me to do it. And then I went outside of my house again, same way through my kitchen, the main door. And when I got outside, I was in a different place again. This time it was by the ocean, and I was standing on some cliff sides. There were dogs there, and I played fetch with them for a little while. And then I just decided to, go for a walk and just look around. So I walked for a little bit, and then I come across these people. They were working at the fields. I was talking a little bit to them, and then I decided to just, I guess there was a car there, and I took the car, and then I drove a little bit. Uh, and after I've, you know, driven for a little while, then all of a sudden I am in this kind of big city, and I walk around, and It's very bluish, like there's a lot of blue, I remember. And again, it looked very futuristic. And so I see this guy, and I thought, let me just go and ask him, where I am. And so I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, can you tell me where I am?" And he said, "You're a neo soul." And I just thought, yes, I did it. I got back. And I was kind of excited about that. And I don't know why, but I took the car again, and then I went back to these people I had met that was standing by the fields, and I talked to them some more. And I remember asking them, "So who do you work for?" And they said they worked for Neo Soul or something like that. I thought, oh, okay. Um, and and 2 seconds later, this guy comes into the picture and he presents himself, say, "Hey," he told me that he knew me. And I asked him, "How do you know me?" He said he knew me from a previous life that I've had shared with him, where him and I were together. And I said, "Okay, wow, how can you even recognize me as, Lova now?" And he said he would always be able to recognize me, that he had really had a lot of love for me in that lifetime, and that I had been an alcoholic, and that kind of ruined, you know, a lot of stuff for me in that life. And I said, "Okay, wow." And I asked him what my name was, and he said, "Mona." And so, yeah, that was my confirmation. And we talked about, how I used to be an alcoholic in that life. And as we were talking, in my consciousness, this was just a knowing for me. I put together the dots within myself, like the out of body that I had just had before this morning, where I was bugged out by these people. All of a sudden, I just knew that they were actually trying to help me. That was a memory from a previous life where um where these people had been trying to help me and I didn't want the help. I was pushing them away and I was, aggravated because they were in my business. That was how I felt. And yeah, so I actually started to cry a lot. I was sobbing, like I was so sad. Everything was kind of coming full circle to me because in this life, me now as Lova, I have been dealing a lot with that theme. My dad drank a lot when I was a kid, and that was a whole thing. And when I got older, I had a partner who was also an alcoholic, and that also um, was everything about it was just very traumatizing for me, I think. And it was just, some things I had to learn in this life. But I just immediately knew that that was tied together. What I have experienced in this life, people who I loved doing to me, you know, um, I had done to other people in a previous life. So I just had like an immense understanding from his point of view. And I knew that I had hurt him so deep and so much, and that just made me so sad. So I was crying and apologizing to him that I had, in fact done that. But it was actually a very beautiful experience because when I was in it, I made all these realizations. So I kind of felt like, oh shit, like that's why I had these experiences in this life. It all makes sense. Yeah. And I guess after I talked to him, um, I woke up and yeah, that was that was the three experiences I've had of me going. beyond the ice wall and, going to Neo Soul. And I will say that, the day after I had my first experience about it last week, where that girl had called me Mona, the day after, I got a mail from somebody. I don't remember who it was, but I looked at the sender and it said, "Best regards, Mona." And I believe I've only met two people in my entire life with that name, and I was a kid back then. So that's kind of a confirmation, I guess, because of the synchronicity in it. Yeah, so I wanted to put that in as well. And so I guess we can make uh, a conclusion. And what, baby? Don't laugh at me. Okay. So I guess that we can make a conclusion that there is, in fact, other continents on the other side of the ice wall, and there is, in fact, a place called Neo Sol. And that civilization did, in fact, used to be here where we are once upon a time, but they traveled through the ice wall to go and be free, you know, and create their own civilization there. Uh, and two, I was, in fact, in another life, um, a girl by the name Mona. And she did live in Neo Soul. Yeah, that was that. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you got something good from it.
All right. Welcome back, guys. Now, as you can see, those were three great experiences that Lova had, and there was a lot of confirmations in there. But let's walk through some of her experiences, and I'll help break them down for you. So now, when Lova says that when she exits her body and she needs to bring her full awareness there, what I'm learning is that's because sometimes when you leave your body, all of your soul may not be completely present, or your awareness, or your consciousness. And what I'm learning now, thanks to my man Jeannie, is because your soul has layers. It has your imagination, your mind, and your awareness, right? So what we're doing is we're bringing all three of those together so you can be fully aware and conscious there. What I also came to understand is it has to do with not shutting your body down properly, right? So if you do this controlled in the way the great man Darius teaches, you won't have that issue. But there are also other ways to come out, and typically when you come out other ways, your awareness may not be fully present, and that's because your mind, imagination, and awareness are not all there. So it's almost as if part of you is still in your body, part of your awareness is still in your body, and you need to bring it fully there. And looking at your hands is a good way to do that. Now, the second thing I want to point out about this experience is when Lovis mentions how she leaves her body and she's there and it's not really her house and things are different. This is what I mean when you can enter a dimensional space, right? So it looks like her house. However, certain things are a little different. That's typically a dimensional space. Now, also in her experience, when she left her body, she was somewhere else. And where she was she was actually in her other life. She was actually in her other life. Now, and this is why when I say she was in her other life, she was actually re-experiencing another lifetime of hers in this other body, right? So she left her body. Her soul is now in the body of a past life of hers. This is why when she tried to fly, she couldn't, because she was re-experiencing life as this other person. Now, when she said that she was halfway in, halfway out, and she said I told her to relax more, what that does is it allows your body to fully shut down. So now your soul can fully leave and exit, right? And that's what I do. I help people to navigate these things and, be proficient at the out-of-body experience. Now, enough of the technical talk. If you guys need help, with your out-of-bodies or whatever the case may be, you guys can reach out to me. Now, but I do want to reach out. I do want to take the time to explain her experiences and why this is important. One, this is confirmation that I'm not the only one that has ever been in Neo Soul. Two, as we're accessing our soul records, this also unveils our storyline, right? This is why the out-of-body experience is so great, because you can piece together pieces of what you were doing before this life, right? Where were you? Who were you? Piece together things. Now we know we met each other because in this life, because we've been doing this together before, right? And particularly in Neo Soul is where we both were before we came here. Now we also know Neo Soul is beyond the ice wall. She was shown a map, and this is also a very powerful experience for her personally, because she was able to piece together some things in her personal life, and she can understand why she had to experience certain things in this life, because of things that she's done in another life. Now, again, these are all things that she set up for herself to experience in this life, so it's not like a karmic cycle or anything like that. Her soul desired to have this experience. Another thing I'd like to point out, when she says things come back as just a knowing for her, this is what I mean when I say your soul's memory starts to come back. Things come back as a knowing, right? It comes back as a memory. Now, oftentimes in the out-of-body experience, you'll see somebody and you'll know you know them. However, the memory of where you know them from doesn't fully return until you have more out-of-bodies. But oftentimes, things just come back to you as a knowing beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is a memory of yours. All right? So this is why the out-of-body experience is so powerful, because not only can you see things that are the truth, but you can piece together parts of you that you may feel are missing, or just piece together the overall puzzle of who you are. Who are you? Why are you here? These are all questions all of us should be asking. What is this place? Who put me here? Right? So guys, I highly encourage all of you guys to get out of your body and see these things for yourself. All right, I'll link Darius's website in the description below if you are curious to learn more about out-of-bodies or the mission. I'll also link my website if you guys would like to work with me. And Lova is a beautiful soul who also makes music for the soul. I'll link her website in the description below if you guys are interested in that. All right. So that's it. That's all I have. As always, stay grounded, stay curious, and always remember, you are not just in the game. You are the one controlling it. I'm the Alchemist, and I'll see you on the other side.